Hello, so my name is Henry Greenwood. I run an organisation called Green Schools Project, and we are doing a project with you guys at Greenleaf called Zero Carbon Schools. Now, some of you will recognise me from the sessions that we ran before Christmas. Um, and these sessions that I'm going to be setting up online for you will be a useful recap for you guys, and for others of you who didn't do the sessions, there'll be a good way to introduce you to the project that we were going to be carrying out this year. Now, I would have done these sessions in person at school, but obviously with schools closing to most pupils, what I'm going to be doing is recording a video each week, setting you some tasks so you can get on with some of the activities before restarting in person when schools are properly open again. So you should have seen on your task sheet that your first task is to complete the Zero Carbon Schools knowledge quiz. So I would like you to do this before watching the rest of the video. So if you haven't done it already, please press pause on the video now and have a go at the quiz. Don't worry if you don't know some of the answers, do the best by yourself, then watch the rest of the video. So I'm going to share my screen with you. There we go. So you can have a look at the screen while we're doing this. And this video is about, there we go, that's Green Schools Project. And so this video is about what is climate change and why do we need to go zero carbon. So the first thing I'm going to show you, and as I said before, so some of you will have seen this before, but it'll be a useful recap for you. The first thing to have a look at here is the Earth. Okay, all right, this is obviously where we live. All right, I can find Great Britain here. There's London. We are on that little dot there. The Earth is covered in oceans, which is the blue bit, and countries, which is all the other countries, all the other colours. So we're the Earth. A really important part of this story is the sun. So here is the sun, and we're really lucky on Earth because we are just the right distance away from the sun. To have the right kind of temperature for life. So the sun gives us the heat that we need to stay alive. But if it wasn't for something else, the Earth would still just be a cold rock with no life on it. Because what we also have on the Earth is, so I've got a blanket here, and this blanket represents a blanket of gases around the Earth, which I'm going to put over the Earth like this, which is called the atmosphere. Now, the makeup of the gases in the atmosphere has been, it changes a bit over kind of millions and millions of years, but it's been mainly constant, and it's just the right level to keep the temperature at the right level for life and for humans on Earth. So what happens is the heat from the sun goes into the Earth, goes towards the Earth. Some of it gets absorbed by the sea and the ground. Some of it bounces off. But of that heat that bounces off, some of it is trapped within the atmosphere by these gases. And as I said, it's changed over time due to natural factors over long periods of time. But what's been happening over the last 150 years, but really even more so over the last 30 to 50 years, it's been accelerating, is activities that humans have been doing are causing this blanket to get a little bit thicker, and it's changing the makeup of the gases, and that's causing a lot of problems. So what you can see is, and so this is causing this big global problem of climate change. So I'm just going to carry on now, and we're going to look at some of the causes of climate change. So in this picture, you can see some of the causes. So, for example, in the top left-hand corner, you can see that's a big power station, and it's generating electricity. And electricity is really important for modern life. You know, we need it for mobile phones and for laptops and lights and you know, everything that powers our modern life. But the way that electricity has been generated, mostly over the past, is by burning things called fossil fuels, which are things like oil and coal and gas. And they're dug up from under the ground and they're burned. And as you can see there's loads of smoke. And a part of that smoke is a gas called carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is the biggest contributor to making this blanket around the Earth a bit thicker. And if you think about what happens if you have a blanket that's too thick, you get too hot, and that is what's happening at the moment to the Earth. So that's one of the contributing factors. Another thing that you can see there is lots of cars. Now, you'll know that you live near a busy road, and in London there's lots and lots of cars around. Every time a car drives, then smoke and pollution comes out the back. Some of that is carbon dioxide, okay, which is caused by the petrol or the diesel that runs the car. It also causes problems with air pollution, which is bad for our health as well and our lungs. Another problem there you can see is lots of trees being cut down. That's a particular problem in places like Brazil and Indonesia, where there's rainforests. And a lot of the rainforests are being chopped down in order to provide space for farms, either to grow food for animals or to have the animals on themselves. And the problem with that is that trees are really important to try and prevent climate change, because what trees do, as you hopefully should know from your science lessons, is trees take in carbon dioxide and they produce oxygen. So a lot of the carbon dioxide that humans are emitting and that's around gets taken in by the trees. So the less trees there are, the less they are able to take in and absorb that carbon dioxide. So we really need to stop cutting down lots of trees, and we really need to start replanting lots and lots of trees, because in the past there used to be lots more trees around the world than there are now. The last thing that you can see there is you can see a load of cows. Now, what's the problem with cows? Well, unfortunately, I mean, we eat cows. We have when we have beef, but also we use them to produce milk and cheese, so meat and dairy products. And cows burp a lot and they fart a lot. And when cows burp and fart, they produce another gas, which is called methane. And methane is another gas which is contributing to this blanket around the Earth getting a bit thicker. So those are all the causes of climate change. And there are more too, but those are the main ones. So what's happening because of this? What are the effects? Now, in these pictures, you can see some of the effects. You can see there's a farmer there who can't grow any food because the land is too dry, so because of droughts. Below that, in some places, and sometimes it's the same place at a different time, there's too much rainfall, and that causes floods. That's actually a picture of the north of England in February last year, completely flooded. And actually around the world, there's a lot more rainfall now because of the world heating up a bit. And another consequence of the world heating up is the fact that at the North and the South Poles, particularly, lots of ice is melting in the Arctic and in the Antarctic. And when ice melts, it actually causes the sea levels to rise. And that's a big problem for people living near the coast, and particularly in island countries, which are completely islands. And they may actually see their whole countries disappear in the future if sea levels rise too much. And then I'm sure you all have seen in the news over the last year or two, lots of big fires happening. Australia was a really big one last year, where huge numbers of animals died in the bushfires. This is actually a picture of California in September or October last year, where the fire got really, really close to San Francisco, where that's taken. And that's obviously very dangerous for the people that live there, but also really bad for the trees burning and all the animals that live there. So it's a really difficult situation, and there's headlines in the news a lot of time with temperature records being broken and rainfall records being broken. And scientists have said that, you know, we have 12 years to actually really get a handle on this problem, beyond which we might come to a point where we can't actually do anything about it anymore. And that was a couple of years ago. So we're kind of down to 10 years now. So we need to act quite fast. The other issue here is that it's not just about climate, it's about kind of wildlife and animals as well. The things that we are doing, such as the fires, such as cutting down the rainforest, are causing big drops in global wildlife populations. And actually wildlife has decreased by about 60% in the last 50 years because of the things that humans do. So more than half of animals have been killed. So it's as I say, it's a really difficult situation. But the good thing is that there are lots of people who are actually taking action to encourage the governments around the world and companies and people to do more. You'll probably recognize the two people at the top, both at the kind of a young person and an old person. That's Greta Thunberg, who has done a lot of campaigning and inspired lots of young people to take action and protest. And David Attenborough, with his BBC wildlife documentaries, has really kind of started to encourage people to take care of the natural world and the living planet. So these are people that you know are doing things, and this is what I spend my work doing, and I hope you guys will join me and trying to help this situation as well. There are the good news is that the solutions are there. We just need to actually do them. So, for example, when you saw at the beginning, electricity being generated from a big power station, we don't have to do it that way. We can generate electricity by using solar panels and wind turbines. There's another picture of a city centre there. You can see the air is clean because there are no cars. So if we improve the possibility of walking and cycling around cities, make public transport better, then we wouldn't need to use cars so much. And we also need to think about the way that we eat. If we reduce the amount of meat and dairy products that we eat, we eat more fresh, locally produced fruit and vegetables, it'll make us healthier, but it will also have a big impact on climate change and what we need to do to help stop it. And so part of this is the project that we're going to be doing with you guys is going to be calculating the amount of carbon emissions that your school produces. And I've been doing projects over the past 5 years or so with other schools on things like reducing waste, reducing plastic, growing vegetables, improving wildlife, reducing energy usage. So I hope you guys will have some photos like these to show in the future as well. So that's all an introduction. And what I would like to do now is to just go back to the task sheet that you've got. And what I would like you to do is to have a go at the rest of the tasks. Think about what I've just talked about in this video. The third task is for you to just do a bit of more research by yourself. I've put links to a few articles and information there, but you can research yourself. Just kind of search around on the internet for information about climate change. The other thing, the next thing to do is to talk to your family about it. You know, how do your parents feel about climate change? Are they doing anything differently compared to the past? You know, when they were at school, this wasn't a problem, so they may not have learned about it at school, but I'm sure they will have heard about it and kind of have some thoughts and opinions about it. And it's important to mention here that it's okay to feel a bit anxious and worried about this. I do too, but with these sessions and projects, that we're doing, we're going to be doing at school, we will actually be able to feel good about the fact that we're going to be doing something about it instead of pretending that it's not happening. And if you do feel anxious or worried, the best thing to do is to talk to somebody about it. Talk to your parents or talk to a friend or talk to somebody that you trust. And there's an article there that I put a link to with some useful information there as well. And finally, but I think importantly as well, it may be cold outside, but try and go outside at least once a day. Run around in the park or go to somewhere where there are some trees. There is lots of research that shows that spending time with trees makes us happier and healthier. And I'll talk a bit more about that another week. So I hope you enjoyed these videos and tasks, and I will see you next week.